India's maritime sector is at a pivotal moment, offering a wealth of opportunities driven by growing investments, advancements in green technologies, and infrastructure development. This webinar serves as a platform to explore these exciting prospects and discuss strategies to position India as a global maritime leader. Our distinguished panelists will shed light on various key themes, including investment landscape, insights into India's shipping growth and foreign investment potential in maritime infrastructure, green technologies, innovation in sustainable maritime practices, inland waterways and coastal shipping, unlocking cargo potential and success stories in coastal transport, public-private partnerships, digitalization and sustainability, leveraging technology and sustainable practices for long-term impact. We are honored to have a galaxy of eminent speakers with us today, to include Mr. Aniruddha Chaki, engineer and ship surveyor cum Deputy Director General Technical, Directorate General of Shipping, Government of India, Mrs. Monica Nagelgaud, Consul General, the Royal Norwegian Consulate General, Mumbai, Mr. Rajesh Nath, Managing Director, VDMA India Services Private Limited, Mr. Gopal Krishna, Director of Marine Business, Volvo Penta India, Captain Sanjeev Sharma, Managing Director, Bernhard Schulte Ship Management India Private Limited. Moderating this insightful session is Mr. Girish Sriraman, Head Business Development, DNV Maritime. Thank you, and let's now begin the conversation on shaping the future of India's maritime industry. Before I hand it over to Mr. Girish, I would request our audience to put in their questions in the Q&A tab, which will be taken up for discussion after the panel session gets over. Over to you, Mr. Girish Sriraman.
Thank you, Padma. So, a very good afternoon to everyone. So first, let me thank INMEX for giving me an opportunity to moderate this esteemed panel. I think we have been discussing India's potential on the maritime realm for a long time, but I think the timing is just about right, considering that we are in the midst of a shipping boom. And of course, the Indian government has made some ambitious announcements to boost shipping in India. India, of course, has always had an advantage of having a vast coastline and, of course, a positional advantage of being at one of the key trade lanes. I can tell you, I have been based here in Singapore for the last 2.5 years, and every conversation with stakeholders here, whether it is shipping companies or shipyards, charterers, banks, leasing companies, I can tell you that it has invariably steered around to what is happening in India. Well, now we have seen some huge policy announcements by the government of India with a vision to transform India's per capita GDP to a level at par with developed countries by 2047. So if we now reflect on the three major economies which have shown rapid economic growth in the last 40 years or so, that is Japan, Korea, and China, shipping has played a major role to transform the economic landscape in all these three countries. As far as India is concerned, we have made some rapid economic progress in the last 30 years, but unfortunately, shipping and manufacturing sectors have, to an extent, lagged behind. Having said that, shipping, shipbuilding, ship repairs, ship owning all have great job creation potential, which is now one of the key aspects of Indian government's 2047, this Amrit Kal vision. If we look at India's own transportation needs, which is largely carried on an aging fleet with urgent replacement needs, plus if we also add the long-held ambition to increase coastal and inland waterway transportation from, I think, the present 5 or 6% to even doubling it in the next 5-year horizon, it would already require a lot of infrastructure growth in the form of ports, shipyards, repair facilities, and of course, associated skill development and employment growth. And of course, the shift from railroad to ships will also bring overall logistic costs down and also help decongest the railroad and has the potential to reduce pollution, which is a major concern, apart from overall reduction in infrastructure maintenance costs. The recent policy announcements towards shipping have all been huge and has created a buzz of excitement. So we have a very eminent panel in our midst. The introductions have been made. So without further ado, I will reach out with my first question to Mr. Chaki, Deputy Director General Shipping. Mr. Chaki, my first question to you is, of course, we have, as I mentioned earlier, there has been a lot of measures that have been announced in the last few years, probably right just before shipping, then during COVID, before COVID, and then during COVID. Also, there have been lots of announcements. And then, of course, in the recent, probably 6 to 7 months, further announcements have been made. I can see for the first time, these policies are touching on all aspects, whether it is financial assistance, last mile connectivity, of course, and the port infrastructure. A lot has been done already. Then, of course, shipbuilding, green shipping, inland waterways. I think favorable cabotage requirements for India built and India flag tonnage. Then, of course, financial assistance to ship owners wanting to scrap ships and then order ships in India. So first of all, the first question is, are you seeing what are the early trends looking like? Are you seeing that there is an growing interest from foreign investors to come and invest in shipping in India? And then, of course, what are the for near-term measures that you are looking at to make this 2047 vision happen? So, Chaki, over to you.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you INMEX and thank you, Girish sir, for inviting me to this webinar. And regarding your question, firstly, see, India has largely been a laggard so far in this kind of initiatives. To be very honest, we have been doing well, probably somewhere in the bottom of the food chain in the shipping industry, which is we are major players in ship recycling and supply of seafarers. But if we look historically, countries have actually countries rode on the other aspects of shipping since World War II, whether it is shipbuilding and all. Some of the major economies now were actually the initiators of the major shipbuilding countries after the war, whether it's Japan, Korea, or now China. So that's a very big sector. And it is very heartening that now our government focus has shifted to to the shipping area, which is a very welcome thing that is happening. So now you have the Maritime Vision 2030 and the Amrit Kal Vision 2047. We have realized that, and there are initiatives, a lot of government initiatives that government is pumping in funds and policy changes are being worked so that we can actually we become rather than the graveyard of ships, we are more known as the birthplace of ships. So in this area, there are existing initiatives are there. Whether we talk about the SBFA, the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Scheme that is there, which currently is around 14% subsidy is given. Plus, there is a higher subsidy of 20% to hybrid vessels and 30% subsidy if you build the green vessels. Here, if you differentiate, hybrid vessels are the vessels which are on fossil fuel and the renewables, solar, etc., on tested technologies, whereas the green vessels, as per our definition, is the one where it is the new innovative technologies that are coming, which are not fully tested. So the subsidies are higher there. Then we have envisaged Maritime Development Fund (MDF) around 30,000 crores for low cost financing in the shipping sector. That is there. then taxation, there is work going on. It is not proper to declare these things, but a lot of work is going on with the finance ministry to our to make a streamline our taxation regimes, which are putting our vessels at a disadvantage in various, there are double taxation issues, and all these things are there, the MRO taxes and all those things. So there is, but the key word is the focus is now on shipping, which was not there before. So the port-led development, shipbuilding, these have now moved into focus. So a lot of these initiatives are there. Government is trying to subsidize, fund, give initiatives in this sector. So still things are actually on paper. A lot of communication is happening between our ministry and the Ministry of Finance. There are a lot of, we have given suggestions. So hopefully things will move further and better from here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chucky. And appreciate, with the candid honesty with which you admitted that we have lagged behind. And yeah, I look forward to see how it moves forward as we go forward. I will now post my next question to Ms. Monica, the Norwegian Consul General. So Norway, of course, has succeeded quite well towards nudging the coastal shipping fleet to LNG fuel fleet in the early 2000s, with this NOx fund. And now, of course, some, great success stories I am hearing with this green coastal shipping program towards coastal ships to be powered by, alternative green fuels and batteries. So I would like to ask, how has this been achieved? And is this a model that is possible to be replicated in, let's say, a country like India, which is much vaster in landscape and complexities? Over to you, Ms. Monica.
First of all, just allow me to thank you so much also for inviting me here today and to share some reflections on this really important topic. So as you say, Norway has made significant steps in transforming the coastal shipping sector towards sustainability. And our maritime industry delivers world-class vessels and ship equipment, digital solutions to increase efficiency and lower emissions, and also expertise in conversion of existing vessels, amongst others. And adaptability has often been cited as one of the industry's greatest strengths. But at the same time, we see that predictable and favorable framework conditions are of great importance to the sector. To achieve green transition in the maritime sector, close cooperation between authorities and the industries is needed. So for Norway, several key factors have contributed to this achievement. First, the Green Maritime is a designated high priority area for the Norwegian government. And we have created a robust regulatory framework and provided incentives that encourage the adoption of green technologies. Also, private companies do the innovation, scaling, and the day-to-day business, while the government supports these efforts with funding tools and the use of carbon pricing and an optimal regulatory framework. Second, the success has also been driven by collaboration between the government and the private sector and academic institutions. And this has fostered an environment where research and development and commercialization of new fuel technologies can thrive. And third, Norway has invested in the necessary infrastructure to support the green fuels. And this infrastructure is critical to ensuring that the shift to green shipping is feasible. Now, India's focus on sustainable development and its commitment to reducing carbon emissions present significant opportunities for innovation within its maritime sector. And with ongoing investments in renewable energy and green technology, we believe that the maritime industry could play a key role in this transition. Also, India's vast coastline and rapidly expanding shipping fleet provide a strong foundation for deploying new and environmentally friendly technologies. And a central feature of the Norwegian model is the productive balance between the competition and cooperation, which we find in the maritime clusters. And we think that India could adopt a similar model to accelerate its transition to green shipping. And there's also a clear need for the government to finance initial innovation support and to build the technical capacity required to adopt and maintain advanced green technologies. And while the financial cost might be substantial, international collaboration, and particularly with countries like Norway, could offer crucial support through knowledge sharing initiatives. And you've mentioned a couple of the schemes that Norway has in place. And I also think that Norway's experience demonstrates that with the right policies and a collaborative approach within the sector, and investment in both technology and infrastructure, that substantial progress can be made in decarbonizing coastal shipping in India. And we are eager to share this expertise and see potential for partnerships that can help advance India's green shipping ambitions. And finally, just the global success of this transition will depend on a combination of strong government partnership among countries and the willingness of industry players to innovate and the alignment of economic incentives to environmental goals. I hope that.
Yeah, thank you. No, I was just making some points on what you said. Very valid points, and I can make out that collaboration being a pretty key aspect between various stakeholders, and the government being a very important what shall I say, a driver towards making various stakeholders come to the table. I also heard that, of course, the initial funding, how you have helped to give that initial trust and development, research and development, and the aspects related to knowledge sharing and government partnerships have played a major role. We will come to that later as we move forward. But my next question will be to Captain Sanjeev. Captain Sanjeev, BSM, of course, apart from being a very reputed third-party ship management as far as India is concerned, and a major hirer of crew from India, but you are also from the parent company. You are also a major ship owner, a major liner owner, and various kinds of ships. My question to you would be that what would it be that you are looking at towards being part of the India growth story? And of course, what are the aspects where you are sort of looking at further support or maybe further opening up from the government side towards making further investments happen in India?
Okay, first of all, thank you, INMEX, and thank you, Girish, for inviting me here among all these justice speakers. So I am what Mr. Chaki mentioned, bottom of the food cycle provider. But I would say not as just representative of Bernard Schulte, but as an Indian who has spent considerable time in and outside India, working among various foreigners and foreign shipping companies. The current scenario of India's growth story, I would say there is a great space for the growth of shipping and shipping services. As earlier you mentioned in your opening message, any growing economy, not only you gave example of China, Japan, or Korea, but I should say even in Europe, post the World War II, the shipping has played a very important part, not only in the growth, economical growth, but also providing the job opportunities. I think still among many industries, I would say the shipping is still a very human intensive business, whether it is running ships or managing ship from the shore side or ship construction or any shipping related activity, whether it is port management or anything. So I should say the Indian growth story cannot be completed without the growth in the shipping. And it was nice to see during the last budget there was some mention of shipping and shipping development. And we expect, and I expect as a ship manager, there are some low hanging fruits and there are some which is long term. So of course, there is like you mentioned that the shipping is in a boom. There are a lot of new building in the coming years, which will be in the sea, and the technology is developing. So there will be a huge requirement of people. And at this moment, I think I do not think India is so well poised to fill up that gap. We have to do something more. This is my observation, and the government has to come in. I think our education, in not only preparing the seafarer, but there will be so many shipping opportunity for that. I do not think there is sufficient training institute for fulfilling that, filling those opportunity which will bound to come as trade will increase. Our dependence on the foreign shipping is still very high. There are very little Indian flagship. I think we expect government to do something better where even the foreign ship owners would like to flag their vessels in India. They have to reach out. They have to understand their problem, and that reaching out is not really happening. What we have seen with Singapore or Hong Kong. I should say it is not a choice, but it will become a compulsion. Recently, we are among one of the managers who can also manage ships with the Japanese flag. And since the time of this, in the recent year, this era of wars have started and the sanctions things have happened, the Japanese government was very nervous whether, because most of their own vessels were registered outside in the foreign flags. So they have now insisting to increase, and they're giving a lot of incentive to have Japanese flag because they don't want that their trade is impaired by such sanction. And in this scenario, which is currently in the world, dependence on the foreign flag will not be a good idea. I think it's a compulsion the government should wake up and create a conducive environment for the foreign ship owners to, they should find Indian flag more attractive. They should come to India for that. And in the end, last is that you cannot be a maritime major nation without really going big way into ship construction or ship repair activity, because that is the nucleus for the creating that ecosystem for shipping. We have seen in many other countries like Singapore or other. I worked a long time in Singapore and even other countries. I think that is where the government has to think how the foreign shipping builders can come to India, what can be done for that. So these are a few initial inputs.
Thank you, Captain Sanjeev. Probably I will get back to you again on the point that you raised on the conducive environment that you are looking at, but after giving an opportunity to all the other panelists, on some of the questions. So my next question would be to Mr. Gopal Krishna, Head of Maritime Business from Volvo Penta. Mr. Gopal, Volvo Penta has obviously has been a key part in seeing the boost in the maritime manufacturing space. You have had a manufacturing setup that is now in place, and you have seen growth that is largely driven by the naval orders. And that's, of course, coming from the government's Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. So what steps would you like to see happening in India to boost shipbuilding from now the present less than 1% to say maybe 5%, because we are talking about from a very low base to, let's say, in the next 7 to 10 years.
Thank you very much for the invitation. And I also thank the panelists, esteemed panelists, for giving their fantastic explanation regarding the future shipbuilding. So I must say, from the Volvo Group point of view, long-awaited shipbuilding development year has come up now. So I will say now that the golden era of shipbuilding has begun, because we have seen quite many initiatives taken by the government of India. It could be for the new technology or sustainable and alternate fuel engine developments, and also they are looking at, all the shipbuilding industries are looking at high technology product and state-of-art technology, and focusing the high quality and timely delivery schedules kind of things. And these are the things which are very well supported by government of India also, because we all agreed that shipbuilding has got a big stake in any country's growth factor. So shipbuilding and ship development, it could be water transport kind of things, certainly a big contributor for the Indian economic growth, what we are looking at for the next 10, 20 years. So certainly this is a fantastic year has begun. I see a lot of positive initiatives taken by the government of India. In addition to that, to substantiate my statement, I can imagine that, quite some time ago, at least, I cannot imagine that European ship owners would come to India and, build ships in India. Okay. So now we are seeing that all the shipyards, including the government shipyards, are full with the orders. So European ship owners who certainly expect a high quality and timely delivery ships are coming to India. So this is a classic example that how government of India is opening up the shipbuilding industry, of course, supporting the companies like, diesel engine manufacturers, sustainable fuel and alternate fuel solutions. Yeah. And in fact, government is coming forward to fund the development activities and research development. This is the fantastic for the companies like Volvo Group. And therefore, this has certainly given us tremendous confidence in India to go into the further investment of engine technology and other sustainable fuel engine development in India. So this is a fantastic development. Another steps that government of India has already, opening up. The government shipyards were most like, limited to the shipbuilding for the Coast Guard and naval forces and other things. And they have a fantastic shipyards and so large shipyards available in India. So they were fully depending on government orders. Now, in most of the cases, government of India has opened up the shipbuilding industries for an private or commercial shipbuilding. So certainly, coming forward, our shipbuilding industry will have a fantastic opportunity in at least for next 15, 20 years. So I'm 100% confident that the future is excellent. We are very well positioned as far as India is concerned. We have a fantastic history about the shipbuilding. Of course, for some reason or the other, we could not make it in a, as expected, the legacy shipbuilding earlier, like catamarans and all. The name has come from India earlier. Later on, it became, catamaran became catamaran. That means the legacy is very much in India. So I see the confidence in private shipyards and government shipyards to build a world-class ships for the highly developed nations like European countries and etc. So it's very good for us that the world ship operators are looking at in India. This is a very, very significant growth. I foresee that we will have a fantastic year ahead as far as India is concerned. I see very good initiatives taken by the government of India. Of course, there is a need for certain, the research and development as far as shipbuilding industry is concerned. Design section and naval architect section has to come. Many of these segments are still depending on some of the developed countries in Europe or America. I am sure the way we are going forward, many industries will come up in terms of research and development as far as shipbuilding is concerned. And this is the key for our maritime success in India.
Thank you, Mr. Gopal. I do agree with you that I think the government has, what should I say, challenged some of the government defense yards to open up and go in for commercial shipbuilding. I also agree with you, there is a lot to be done towards promoting design and research and development, not only towards ship design itself, which is sort of the seed, but also on the new technologies that are coming, which where I think when we look at the Norway growth story with the Green Coastal Shipping Program, which Ms. Monica has mentioned, I think a lot can be done. How is it that with a sort of a minimal amount of investment, how a sort of a domino and a cascade effect can be established? This is something that I will pose to Mr. Chaki as we go forward. But I'll now go to Mr. Rajesh Nath. I'm going to sort of expand away from shipping, because you are looking at the larger manufacturing space and collaborations between the German industry and the Indian industry. So I do understand from our earlier discussions that a lot of dialogue is going on the additive manufacturing and the artificial intelligence space. Now, all these are going to be major disruptors. I sort of always have a fear that this could probably have a negative impact on our overall manufacturing ambitions, what the government has put forward. Now, what's your take on it, and how do you feel these disruptions can be turned into an advantage, and an overall boost towards the manufacturing ambitions can be achieved?
Right. Thank you, Girish, and thanks for this question. I think a very relevant question when we talk about India's context. So Girish, I think the government has very clear aims. We want to become a $5 trillion. We are talking about India becoming a $5 trillion economy by 27-28. And manufacturing should contribute about 25% to that. So we are talking about $1 trillion coming from manufacturing in India as we move towards becoming a $5 trillion economy. Now, as you rightly mentioned, Girish, we have a unique situation in India. We have, friends, in fact, 63 million MSMEs operating in India. And 99% of the MSMEs employ less than 10 people. So naturally, the question that comes up in India is, automation, when we talk about automation, how can India benefit from automation or IoT, Industry 4.0? Now, how can our country benefit from that? Now, that is where I feel that it is very important that India looks into this aspect and our MSMEs also look to adopt automation. Now, automation has many phases and structures, I would say. What is relevant for our MSMEs is first to identify what is the scope where they are looking for automation, where their process can be beneficial using automation. Once that is, I think, identified, it becomes much easier to take the next step forward for the automation. And I think here in our context, India's context, we should look at low-hanging fruits where the return of investment for the MSMEs comes fast. I'll just give a few examples. For example, let's talk about condition monitoring. Now, actually, when we talk about remote monitoring or condition monitoring, where real-time data can be captured through IIoT, it will in fact be more beneficial for the MSME because a shutdown in a machine, a larger enterprise has deep pockets. He can perhaps bear the shutdown in a machine. But for a MSME who has shallow pockets, limited resources, it becomes very essential that the machine is continuously in operation. And if he's able to get those data, real-time data, because I think that is important, real-time data, then you know where the machine is, where, for example, bearing temperature is rising. Now, what is the reason for that? One can take remedial action, and condition monitoring, remote monitoring can also be done. Let's look at another example. For example, collaborative robots. We talk about cobots or collaborative robots. Now, what are collaborative robots? Actually, collaborative robots are working in collaboration with humans. It is making, I think, there are the 5 Ds when we talk about cobots, mainly for applications that are dangerous, that are difficult, that are dull. Then we also have operations that are dirty, actually, where perhaps for humans it is very difficult. And then we had this 5th element, especially during the COVID distancing. Now, cobots is again a good example where there is application for MSME also utilizing the cobots and working together with humans. So I think in our context, it is very essential that aspects like IIoT, and then also let's look at additive manufacturing, especially let's look at the, in fact, in the shipping industry also, Girish. Now, additive manufacturing can really help because you're able to produce parts, you're able to produce specific parts as per the requirements, and also spare parts can be made through the additive manufacturing route. So all this will actually help and benefit the MSME in India. And I think what is important for us is that this man-machine collaboration goes forward. And India's growth story can only happen when the MSMEs are also integrated in India's growth story. So I think it is very essential that we are able to take along the MSMEs also as India grows forward. That would be my take, Girish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I hear you loud and clear that this disruption can be still turned into an advantage,
Absolutely.
especially considering that there are a lot of MSMEs and where they can actually probably use it to an advantage to ensure that the downtimes are reduced.
Right.
I'm going to follow up on what Mr. Rajesh said to you, Chaki. I'm also going to take some of the aspects that Ms. Monica touched upon on the way they have established the Green Coastal Shipping Program towards greening that sector. So what are the measures that the Shipping Ministry and DG Shipping is doing towards what shall I say? I know that an ambition has been stated that we are looking at greening our entire coastal program as well by what, if I remember correct, around 2040 or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. If my this is what I sort of read from Google. And then, of course, there is one other aspect that I would like to ask you, is some major announcements have been made towards shipping has been um, has been accorded infrastructure status. Then what does this mean in terms of what shall I say, boosting shipping? Over to you, Mr. Chaki.
See, as far as granting of the infrastructure status is concerned, it's still in the works. But
Okay.
what will uh, percolate from that is greater financing. Today, shipbuilding or any shipping the growth suffers from a lack of financing.
Mm.
The moment the infrastructure status is accorded to it, what happens is the finance eases. So once the financing is at lesser rates of interest, so unless and until it is accorded the infrastructure status, that banks are not willing to finance ships and all that. And people who are in the business know, and it's very difficult to get finance at viable rates in India because that regulatory regime is still not there. So there is a push for that. In fact, I believe railway wagons are considered as infrastructure, but ships are not. So it all depends on where our priorities were. But now, like I said, now our priorities are there in shipping. A lot of things will uh, come, uh, will happen here, are happening. In fact, a lot of things are in the pipeline. What was the other question that
The
you
other
asked?
question is basically taking it from Mr. Rajesh's question, answer on the what shall I say, the artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, various other new aspects. Then what is the shipping ministry doing towards, what shall I say? Because all this are going to be game changers as we move forward, and they are at very nascent stages. And probably India has the advantage of what shall I say, putting some investments and giving reaping some rewards as we move forward. So what are the steps that are being taken?
See, I would rather focus on what my organization as a regulator can
Mm,
contribute here.
mm, mm,
The ministry is the central government as per
okay.
allocation of business rules. Now, obviously, they are doing a policy at a macro level.
Mm,
We, as the regulators, what we envisage or what we contribute, what we based on our mandate would actually be to have simplified regulatory frameworks in place to enable these kind of transitions,
mm,
and secondly skill development,
mm,
build up the build up the capacity building, and build up that kind of expertise so that our people, it is not just seafarers, it's the people uh, who will be operating the vessels. The concept of seafarers may just vanish with
mm,
mass and these kind of things. So put in place the regulatory regimes in place and develop, upskill our people in the maritime sector, not just the seafarers but others
mm,
also,
mm,
so that they are ready for these
mm,
challenges.
mm, mm,
As far as ministry is concerned, ministry in the macro picture, of course, they are looking at it's mainly the funding aspect, regulatory regimes, the ease of doing business, all these kind of the that uh, saying that we had probably a few years back, less government, more governance kind of thing. So that's what's happening. The DG shipping would probably be that enforcement arm, but yes, we are aware of the challenges there. The government is proactive. Yes, the mainly it is right now the taxation regimes, the financing regimes, which are being worked upon. If that becomes competitive to the other shipbuilding sectors in other countries, I think there is nothing stopping us from growing the way we envisage.
Understood, Mr. Chaki. In fact, I can see Mr. Ajay Achutan has asked a question which is probably you have answered part of it. What is the DGS doing towards preparing transition towards autonomous vessels? Maybe you could just touch upon it. I know you answered a bit of it already.
See, it's upskilling the seafarers and the operators towards that. But of course, we are a large population center also.
Mm.
So our seafarers are a very important asset for that. So obviously, we wouldn't want them losing job en masse. But yes, for our courses, etc., we are encouraging our maritime training institutes. A few years back, these to include elements of these in their courses rather than being very straight-jacketed about what the IMO prescribes and just comply with that, and have straight-jacketed, add modules to their existing courses, and we are more than happy to accept that. We are not we are flexible to new kind of teaching methods, new kind of subjects coming in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chaki. I have a question online for Ms. Monica. This is from Mr. Keith. Are you aware of any Norwegian trade initiatives in support of Norwegian companies in the Indian maritime market? I'm not sure if I understood it properly, but yeah, I leave it to Ms. Monica to answer the question.
Thank you, Girish, and I will try to answer. I'm not sure if the question is about a particular scheme or if it's more in general, but definitely, I mean, Norway has actually a strategy for the cooperation, the bilateral cooperation with India, and in our strategy, oceans and maritime, green shipping, is a prioritized area for the Norwegian government in the bilateral work with India. And both the Consulate General, the Embassy, we also have Innovation Norway present in India, are working with the Norwegian companies within the maritime sector in order to promote the Norwegian industry, the Norwegian technology, and also the cooperation with Indian partners. So I think if there's an interest for more information on the details, then please just get in touch directly.
If I can just follow up on that this thing is, you did touch upon, there is tremendous scope for, partnerships that are possible to, towards replicating the Green Coastal Shipping Program. Are there discussions happening between the Norwegian government and the Indian government? If so, to what extent, if I may ask? Yeah.
Yes, well, there is extensive cooperation between the Indian and the Norwegian government, and this is due to the fact that Norway and India share a long maritime history, and maritime issues are central to the bilateral dialogue between our two countries. And green transition in shipping is also central to these discussions. And I think that partnerships between India, Norway, and other countries on a government level as well as a commercial level provide a great opportunity to lead also in the global transition to net zero. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I would like to highlight that we have several areas of existing collaboration between our two countries in the maritime sector. Firstly, we have the India-Norway Joint Working Group on Maritime, which holds regular meetings, where the primary focus is on green maritime initiatives, including shipping and the maritime industry. ship recycling, maritime training, and security. We also have the, I would like to refer to the DNV white paper on the Indian Green Coastal Shipping Program, which was commissioned by the Norwegian Consulate in Mumbai. We have quite recently in 2023 the signing of 3 MOUs between the Indian Port Association and the Norwegian Port Association, where the focus areas of collaboration include green port technologies, green port policies, and the creation of maritime clusters and innovation ecosystems at major ports for the development of green ports and technologies. Then we also have a very important program, the IMO Green Voyage 2050 program, which was in this first phase funded entirely by the Norwegian government, where we've had close collaboration between the Green Voyage team and DG Shipping here in India. And we are also hopeful that this partnership will continue into the second phase of the IMO Green Voyage program. And then, of course, on the business side, we do see that new environmentally friendly ships in Norway are being built in Indian shipyards. And then, of course, we have the entry into force of the Hong Kong Convention next year, which we also think would give increased room for collaboration, both on the government level, but also on business collaboration on ship recycling. So I just wanted to touch upon these because I think that they show the scope of the cooperation, the bilateral cooperation between Norway and India in the maritime. And of course, these are efforts that we will be building on for the future in order to strengthen our relationship.
Thank you, Ms. Monica. It's I actually was not aware of the extent of work already happening. Thank you. I see a lot of questions actually, and we are actually running out of time. But quickly, some of it are related to. So maybe I will pose the next question to Captain Sanjeev only. Considering now the situation that we are in, where the decarbonization and the technology transition and rule requirements are all happening simultaneously, and we are seeing sort of a safety competence gap that's also building up. So what are you doing as one of the major crewing providers and also hiring in the Indian space? What are you doing towards the reskilling and the upskilling that has to happen? Over to you, Captain Sanjeev.
So we are among the front runner, I would say, as far as the preparing people for these kind of technologies. We ourselves, as per on the IT side, we have a very big setup within our company, which I think almost close to 1,000 people are employed within India for development as far as IT related development are concerned. As far as the engine, dual fuel and all, we have a lot in-house capabilities where we have started training. We have already managing some ships with these new technologies. So we utilize that opportunity also to learn and disperse that knowledge within the organization and prepare more and more people for that. We are also part of certain research work, like as far as the ammonia as a fuel is there. Some tie-ups are there where we are participating in the research. We are also participating in the autonomous ship related matter with the Europe. We are offering our ships for experiment purposes. So there is a lot of initiatives within the company that are happening. So we want to be ahead of the times, and these things will come into the market. We should be able to. But here is one suggestion also, but like I mentioned about the training also. So education is very important part, and so I think the government, here the initiative has to come from the government also, So they have to be a step ahead. So maybe R&D and education has to go hand in hand, like in other industries. And unfortunately, in shipping area, most of the education is also lagging behind. What we are teaching what already got expired or what we have done. So here, so the like IMU and all those things. So R&D together with education is very important. There, some investment, like Mr. Chaki was mentioning, there's some fund which government has allocated for this. I hope some results will come.
Thank you, Captain Sajeev. So I will I'll try to tie up some of the questions that is already there and pose it to Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Gopal Krishna and also to Mr. Chaki. My question, first of all, to Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Gopal Krishna would be that, what is preventing foreign investors to sort of invest into, let's say, creating large infrastructure, building shipyards, which is sort of a requirement if we have to have the ambitions to move up on the shipbuilding space. We have seen a slew of investments. Let's say, if we take Apple or Samsung, where they have invested billions of dollars, and now that has seen quite a bit of results coming through. Then, of course, I will ask Mr. Chaki, what's the government doing? I know you are on the DG shipping side and you are a regulator, but unfortunately, I still have to ask you, because you are privy to probably what is happening on the shipping ministry side, what steps are being taken towards making these kind of investments and the ecosystem to happen towards, what shall I say, this kind of shipbuilding growth to happen. So over to you, Mr. Gopal Krishna and Mr. Rajesh, and then to Mr. Chaki.
So, Mr. Rajesh, can I take it or you will start?
Yes. I just wanted, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, I have to log out at 5 o'clock. So if you would just allow me, if I could just go ahead and just give a short statement.
Most welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Girish, coming to your question, yes, I think as the speakers also mentioned, India had a very rich tradition in shipbuilding, but presently our share is actually less than 1%. And the government is making an effort that it increases to about 5% by 27-28. And I think the government is planning to invest about $1.1 billion USD in shipbuilding in the next 5 years. So I'm sure as the industry evolves, yes, it is already a well-established industry, but on a global platform, our contribution in the shipbuilding industry is very nominal. And I think for that to make it really attractive, with the government investment coming, with more emphasis coming, we also have the various projects from the government side, the Sagarmala project, and you also mentioned about the Maritime India Vision 2020. And in fact, we are talking about the big project is the Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047, where the government is talking about an investment of 80,000 lakh crores. Now, this is huge, gigantic by any standards. So I'm sure as these projects come into play, more and more, it will give more and more confidence also to the foreign investors that the maritime industry is developing and the government is putting the right emphasis for the development of the industry. So I'm sure this will also act as a booster and will encourage more foreign investment coming into the country. That would be my take, Girish. And if I may kindly be excused, I have another important meeting that I need to take. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here. And thank you to all the co-panelists for being part of this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Over to you. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Gopal? Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mr. Rajesh has covered most of the very valid points. See, as far as the foreign direct investment is concerned, it's a confidence, for the investors, and the the governance when it comes to the, after the investment. So the execution and delivery aspects need to be, the confidence need to be further increased. Of course, there is a lot of efforts are being made by the government, but we all know that the percentage of the maritime or shipping industry within India itself is like, single digit. So it is not like an automobile that the shipping industry or maritime industry is not a household talk. In the for the it could be for an engineering graduate. I have very less heard about an engineering graduate going towards the maritime. So very small. That means so the internal confidence within the technology development and research development, and also the way the execution and delivery happens from the government point of view. For example, the tender processing, it could be, and also the investors should get a confidence both in-house and from the external. So I would say more than the shipbuilding investment, it will be nice if government can attract foreign direct investment in terms of technology development and the research institutes, because that is where India needs, for the further growth in the maritime industry. We need an in-house, the technology development, the maritime institutes, education, and other things. So certainly we have world-class institutes from many of the countries. So these are the institutes which we should invite into India and invest, and further how we have seen an automobile growth in last 25 years. I would say that maritime industry in India needs foreign direct investment in terms of research and development, in terms of technology development. Of course, the sustainable fuel and alternate fuel engine development and other technology, in addition to that, artificial intelligence. So these are the areas. Certainly, from 1%, that means we have 99% of potential available in India. That means humongous, any industry. I would have not named all the industries. It's the shipping industry is such a biggest industry, one of the industry. Certainly, there is a lot of opportunities for foreign direct investment. I am sure government of India will be looking at that. Certainly, we have all agreed that this is one of the biggest contributor for our country's growth in the way forward, as far as economic growth is concerned. So I am very positive, and I feel that we are going in the right direction. I hope to see, like DG Shipping and shipping ministries and government of India will certainly, as we have seen already, several initiatives are on table now. I'm quite confident that we are on the right direction. I hope to see fantastic development in the way forward in the coming years.
Thank you, Mr. Gopal.
Yeah.
The final word to you, Mr. Chaki.
I agree with Mr. Gopal Krishna that we have everything, and I'm not a lot of things regarding streamlining of taxation, infusion of funds are going on, policies are being drafted, but it's not my mandate to uh, reveal those until it comes out on paper. But one thing I will say is that I started my career, shore-based career, largely as a new construction surveyor. So I feel that whatever we are talking about, the investment and whatever coming in, if we have passionate shipbuilders, I think the investment will be there. Question is, do we have people or conglomerates or groups whose first love is shipbuilding, technology as well as that passion? That will bring in the investment when investors realize that these guys are into it from the heart. That's it. That's what I'll say, because I have observed that very early. That's why probably a lot of shipbuilders went bankrupt midway. But then, do we have passionate shipbuilders? It's an art. Shipbuilding is an art infused with all the technology. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chaki. I have only one thing to add on the shipbuilding side before I pass it on, because we have already overshot by what I think 10 minutes. What I have observed is, whether we take China, where the major yards are actually owned by the government. So shipbuilding has always been something where you have these very small bursts where the shipbuilders make a lot of money, but otherwise it's not a industry which actually makes the other ancillary industries, yes, but I'm not very sure about the shipbuilding companies itself. And if we look at Korea, I think a lot of bailing outs have happened over the years by the government and the banks to keep them going. That's my final take on it. And of course, it's a lot of investment that has to go in, where possibly as sort of ecosystem and as you said, from a finance perspective, probably similar to the PLI schemes that the government has put in forward for other industries may probably be required for shipbuilding as well. Probably that's in the works. I do look forward to seeing that and see India firmly on the shipbuilding map and the shipping map as well. I will put this as the sort of the concluding remarks. There are a lot of good things that have been said, and I do see there are other questions which we do not have the time to take up at this point. But probably I will request INMEX to basically you can take the help of us to respond back if you require. And we could have a separate session where I have jotted down some points which you could then take forward and see if something can come out, meaningful can come out of this webinar. So thank you. Thanks for I would like to thank Mr. Chaki, Miss Monica, Captain Sanjeev Sharma, Mr. Gopal Sharma, Mr. Gopal Krishna, and Mr. Rajesh Nath for giving your valuable time, and of course the audience. And I pass it on to INMEX. Over to you, Jessica and Mrs. Padma. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. Thank you so much for all the valuable insights. It is so good to hear about all the potential that Indian maritime industry has. I'm sure our attendees have noted a lot of good points and points that we need to work on. This is Jessica John, and on behalf of the entire INMEX-SMM India team, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished panelist and moderator. Your invaluable insights and engaging discussions have truly shed light on the immense opportunities within India's maritime sector, while also inspiring pathways for growth, innovation, and collaboration for everyone. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we could not take all the questions, but I would request all the attendees to reach out to us, and we will try our best to either connect you with the speakers or take the answers from them and pass it on to you. A sincere thanks to all our audience for being such an active and supportive part of today's session. Your presence and engagement add immense value and make events like these truly impactful. We also express our deep appreciation to DNV for their participation and unwavering support. It's DNV's dedication to fostering knowledge exchange and advancing the maritime industry is truly commendable. Looking ahead, we are excited to continue facilitating meaningful conversations and connections within this vibrant industry. Please save the dates for our upcoming events in 2025. Our first event for the year 2025 will be held in May. It's called India Ports Conference. It will be on 8th and 9th of May. And then we will have INMEX-SMM India, which is South Asia's largest maritime exhibition, which will be held on 10 to 12th of September. Both these events will be held in Mumbai. Please feel free to contact us to know more about these events. We eagerly look forward to your participation in our events in 2025 as we continue working together to shape the future of India's maritime sector. Before we close, we invite you to enjoy a short video showcasing the success of INMEX-SMM India 2023, our last edition. May we have the video, please?
I think more than memorable experience, what I would say is that this was one of the best maritime exhibitions which has been held so far in India. I think it was superbly organized.
So INMEX 2023 had a very good footfall, and that was my experience or the highlight of this event. The reach, what we got in this exhibition was far beyond what we have achieved.
Thank you. Thank you. I think there was a bit of a technical issue. I think no webinar or online meeting is complete without any kind of technical issue that we face, and we had to face this. But I think moreover, everyone at least got the gist of how INMEX is and what is it all about. So once again, thank you everyone to our esteemed, especially our esteemed speakers, partners, and incredible audience. We look forward to welcoming you to our future events. Goodbye and a great day and evening ahead in whichever part of the country you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.